Hello, I'm Mrs. Mitchell and I'm going to talk you through English at GCSE. Now, English is compulsory at GCSE, however, there are a few different pathways that pupils can utilise in their journey through their English GCSE. So throughout this, I'm going to talk you through the literature GCSE, the language GCSE, and the entry-level option. First, I'm going to talk you through the GCSE English Language and the GCSE English Literature specification. Now, it's important to understand that they are two completely separate GCSE qualifications. So at the end of year 11, pupils will walk away with two qualifications for English. Now, we teach them side by side across the 2 years because both qualifications have very similar skills and work well being taught side by side. So English language, there are no tiers and it is linear, meaning that both exams will take place at the end of year 11. So there are two formal exams worth 80% of the overall qualification and then two NEAs, which are speaking and listening tasks, which are 20% of the overall qualification. With GCSE literature, it is slightly different in the fact that it is modular, and there is the ability within the exams to sit the foundation tier or the higher tier. So there are two formal exams worth 75% of the overall qualification. Now Unit 1 will take place in January of Year 10 and then Unit 2 will take place at the end of Year 11. Then there are two NEAs which are worth overall of 25%. English Language Unit 1. Unit 1 of English Language is the ORC non-examination assessment, which is worth 20% of the overall marks. Now this consists of two tasks. The first task is 10%, and it is the individual research presentation, which is worth an overall of 40 marks. Now pupils will select a topic that they research, but this topic needs to fit in the themes provided by the WJEC. Now these themes include Wales, leisure, the world of work, the world of science and technology, and citizenship. So pupils' topics must link to one of those themes. Pupils will be responsible for researching that topic and developing a speech/presentation around their chosen topic. And when they sit the NEA, they'll be responsible for presenting that talk and also respond to feedback and questions. Then task 2, which again is worth 10%, is responding and interacting, again worth 40 marks. Now this is the group discussion. Pupils will be put into small groups and they'll be given written and/or visual stimuli from the WJEC that tells them the topic of their group discussion. Now their group discussion will last about 10 minutes where they will present their researched information on the topic to each other and engage in a talk, giving them an opportunity to convey personal experiences, to persuade others, to collaborate with each other, and to question and comment on others' viewpoints. English Language Unit 2. This is the first of the two exams for the GCSE English Language, and it is reading and writing, description, narration, and exposition. Overall, it is worth 40% of the qualification, and the exam is over 2 hours. Now, there are two sections of this exam. The first is Section A, worth 20% of the overall exam, and it is the reading section, which consists of 20 marks. Now in this section, candidates will be tested on their understanding of at least one description, narration, and exposition text with a thematic link, assessed through a range of structured questions. Now there will be a variety of continuous and non-continuous texts, meaning it could be short text, it could be advertisements, it could be a graph, it could be a blog, or even an article, requiring different reading approaches and responses. Now, within this part of the exam, there are a range of different types of short and extended response questions. You could have a multiple choice question, short structured response, closed sequencing, so on and so forth. Others will require longer answer that include paraphrasing, context comprehension, analysis, deduction, and inference. This section will also include an editing task focusing on understanding short passages at word, sentence, and text level. Now that is worth 2.5% of the qualification. Section B of this exam is 20%, and it is the writing part worth 40 marks. So in this section, candidates will complete one writing task from a choice of two that could be either description, narration, and exposition. Candidates will be required to write one piece of extended writing, drawing from the reading materials in section A where appropriate. So as I said previously, there is a thematic unit. So in the past, we've had thematic units on volunteering, on robots, so on and so forth. And the reading part will have articles linking to that theme, questions linked to that theme, and then linking into section B, the writing task will be in some way linked to that thematic unit. So, the types of writing that you could be doing within this section may include, but not limited to, things like biography, memoir, travel writing, food writing, diary, story, or a personal essay. This section will also include one proofreading task, focusing on writing accurately. In this short task, candidates will need to proofread and correct a brief text, worth 2.5% of the overall qualification. So they could be given something like an email, and they will need to spot and correct 5 mistakes. Now, half of the marks in this writing section will be awarded for communication and organization, so how meaning, purpose, readers, and structure is crafted, and the other half, which is writing accuracy, so how pupils are using language, grammar, punctuation, and spelling for effect and accurately. English Language Unit 3. Now, Unit 3 is the second exam within the English Language GCSE, and it is a reading and writing on argumentation, persuasion, and instructional. Again, it is worth 40% of the overall qualification. The exam is 2 hours in length, and there is a section A and a section B. Now, this exam is very, very similar to the Unit 2 exam. So, very similar to Unit 2, Section A is 20%, it is the reading, and it is worth 40 marks. Now, within this part of this exam, pupils will be tested on their understanding of at least one argumentation, one persuasion, one instructional text, again linked to a thematic unit, or sort of a thematic topic, including, again, continuous and non-continuous text, assessed through a range of structured questions. Again, very, very similar, exactly the same as Unit 2. However, there isn't the proofreading and editing tasks within this exam. So again, they will be given access to continuous and non-continuous text, which could include letters, emails, fact sheets, leaflets, articles, reports, blogs, notices, guides, manuals, and digital and multimodal texts. Again, linked with a thematically linked non-continuous text such as advertisements, diagrams, lists, graphs, schedules, and tables. So it's not saying that all of these will be included in one exam, but there is a variety of these throughout the exam. Again, exactly the same as the Unit 2, there'll be a variety of short and extended response questions from multiple choice to close to short answer, and then on to the extended writing questions that might require contextual comprehension, analysis, deduction, inference, and paraphrasing. Section B of Unit 3, English Language. Again, worth 20%. It is the writing part of the exam, and it is worth 40 marks. Now, this will test candidates' writing through one compulsory argumentation writing task and one compulsory persuasion writing task. Now that is the difference between the Unit 2 and the Unit 3 exam. In Unit 2, you only need to complete one extended writing task. However, in Unit 3, you need to complete 2. Now the length of these tasks do vary. You have to write a slightly longer one in Unit 2 because you're only writing 1, and in Unit 3, because you are writing 2, they are slightly shorter. Now, candidates will need to write demonstrating an awareness of audience and purpose, drawing upon the reading materials in Section A where appropriate, adapting style to form and to real-life contexts, for example, letters, articles, reviews, speeches, and so on. So, again, there will be a thematic unit linked to the questions in Section A into Section B. Half of the marks for this section will be awarded for communication and organization, meaning, purpose, readers, and structure, exactly the same as Unit 2, and the other half is for writing accurately, language, grammar, punctuation, and spelling, again, exactly the same as Unit 2. Moving on to GCSE English Literature. GCSE English Literature, similar to language, consists of 3 units. Unit 1 is the first exam, which is worth 35% of the overall qualification, and it is different cultures and contemporary poetry. This is the Mice and Men exam, which the first part of the exam will be based on the text of Mice and Men, and then the second part of the exam is an unseen poetry section. Now the exam takes place over a 2-hour period, and as I said previously, this exam will take place in January of Year 10. Unit 2 is the second part of the exams, and it is worth an overall of 40%, and that is the literary heritage and contemporary prose. So this is where pupils will be studying 2 texts, and the exam will be based on 2 texts, which are Heroes and Inspector Calls. Again, very similar to Unit 1, it is a 2-hour examination. This examination will take place at the end of Year 11. Unit 3 is the NEA, the non-examination assessment. Now there are 2 tasks involved in the literature NEA. The first is based on a Shakespeare play, and the Shakespeare play that we study is Romeo and Juliet, and then a scene poetry task. Again, both NEAs are worth an overall of 25%. Traditionally, by the end of Year 11, pupils will gain both qualifications in GCSE Literature and GCSE Language. However, in some cases where pupils might not be able to cope with the demands of both GCSEs, we have the option of the English entry level. Now, the English entry level takes the place of GCSE Literature, only it's done slightly differently. So pupils who go down this option still gain 2 qualifications by the end of Year 11. However, in Year 10, pupils will solely focus on the entry-level qualification. Then in Year 11, they will solely focus on the GCSE English Language. The entry-level course works really well with the GCSE English Language. The skills dovetail together extremely nicely and support the learning of the English language skills. So within this qualification, there are 3 components. So component 1 is the written exam. It is 25% of the overall qualification, and the exam itself takes about an hour to complete. Now this exam will be done towards the end of Year 10, around May, June. It is very similar to the skills and things they will need to know in the GCSE language. For example, Section A is a reading section. It's the non-literacy reading, and it has a mixture of short and answer questions, structured questions, and multiple choice questions in response to 2 or 3 short texts, including at least 1 non-continuous text. Then in Section B is functional writing, 1 short and 1 extended writing task based on everyday use of English. So a lot of times with the entry-level English, it focuses on real life situations to support the English skills pupils will need both in the classroom, supporting the GCSE English language, but also then into the real world after they finish education. Now, this component is externally set and externally assessed, meaning it's one of the exams the pupils will sit in the hall. The next component within the entry-level qualification is component 2, which is 60% of the overall qualification. Now, this part of the qualification is the topic tests. Now, pupils will complete 4 topic tests over the year, and each test is only about a half an hour in length. Now, there are 2 reading tasks and 2 writing tasks, focusing on applying skills in different contexts. Now, the first test is response to 20th and 21st century literature, which is a mixture of low tower of short response questions and one extended response on an unseen extract from a 20th or 21st century prose. And the next test, test 2, is an editing and sequencing test, which has close and sequencing activity, incorporating sorting and matching to demonstrate verbal reasoning and understanding. Test 3, narrative writing. One from a choice of 2 titles that will encourage candidates to entertain the reader, so they will participate in a piece of narrative writing. And the last test is test 4, proofreading. 2 proofreading exercises in which candidates will be assessed on the accuracy of their spelling, punctuation, and their grammar. Now, as you can see, the types of questions and the types of activities that take place in these 4 topic tests link very nicely and support the types of questions and the types of tasks and activities that pupils who are taking the GCSE English language will come in contact with. So again, like I said previously, this qualification dovetails really, really nicely and really helps to support learners into their language GCSE. Now, this is externally set and internally assessed, meaning that the WJEC will create and write the tests that will be given to us, and then pupils will sit these 4 topic tests in their classrooms, similar to a piece of coursework. The last component of the entry-level English is component 3, which is 15% of the overall qualification. Now, this is a practical assessment in communication, so very similar to the speaking and listening tasks that are in the GCSE English language. Now, there are 2 tasks, and each task takes 2 hours in length. Now, the first task is the presentation of point of view. Now, in response to the topic set by the WJEC, candidates will communicate ideas and information in 2 parts. Firstly, there will be a group discussion and then an individual presentation. Candidates should use the group discussion as an opportunity to explore the topic in further detail before presenting their ideas and opinions individually. So again, very similar to the GCSE. Now, the second task is a more practical approach, a more real-world approach in the world of work. So in response to the job specifications set for this task by the WJEC, candidates will participate in 2 parts of a mock interview. So an interview presentation and then a panel interview. Candidates should think about their own qualities, interests, and experiences that would make them a suitable candidate. And this is a really, really nice task to help support a real-world situation that pupils could encounter outside of the classroom. So the topics are selected by the WJEC. Pupils will be given written stimulus or maybe a visual stimulus to help support their preparation and understanding. So this is externally set, but exactly the same as the GCSE speaking and listening, it will be internally assessed. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this presentation that explores the GCSE English options And if you have any further questions, please feel free to contact me. I've left my email here and I would be happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you.